I want to fish for bass with my fly rod. You know, 'tis the season. They're coming in. But there's so many choices out there, so much information, and the money involved in this stuff. And even though this is not my primary fish, it's something I want to get involved with. So I'll show you how I went about selecting the process for this rod. You're looking to see what type of fish you're fishing for. I'm talking the fish now, you know, today, tomorrow, whatever. But not a year, not 5 years from now. I may fish for this and all that stuff. No, I wouldn't do that. The reason why you don't plan for a year or 5 years out is because the what ifs, they'll never happen, and by the time that time rolls around, you may have lost interest in it, or you may have gotten to a different skill level where this rod is not going to be beneficial to you. So when I'm selecting this new rod, the number one question you got to ask, well, I'm asking myself, is what am I going to be fishing for? And I'm going to be fishing for bass, but I also want to fish for some carp, because these things can get expensive. My trout rod, it's a couple $100, probably the whole setup. Let's not talk about that right now. That's for another video. But right now, I'm just looking for a decent rod to catch some bass, some carp with. But as far as my trout rod, I have a 5-weight up in Pennsylvania. But down here in the Smoky Mountains, I have a 4-weight. I think it's an 8-footer. 4-weight. I know it's a 4-weight, but the action, I don't know. I bought it years ago, and it's been great. It's 6-7 years old right now, and that's pretty much my go-to rod. Pennsylvania, I got a bigger rod up there. Well, it's just a 5-weight, but it's a lot more money. Regardless, the rod, just take care of it. I mean, if it's expensive, if it's cheap, take care of it. You take care of a cheap rod, you're going to definitely take care of the expensive. But right now, I'm talking about bass. Carp, these carp are absolutely monsters. So, I mean, when they run, I mean, these if you haven't have you haven't catched a carp, if you have never caught a carp before, and I highly recommend it. I mean, they will take your pull. If you don't have your bell open, they will grab that rod, rip out the line, and that rod could be gone, lost in a river. I've seen it so many times, it's actually kind of comical, but it isn't really. So now I know what type of fish I'm after. Now you got to look at the money, okay? How much am I going to spend on? You know, this isn't my go-to fish, so you got to be realistic about it. I mean, these rods go from like, you know, $50 up to $1,500, just really. So what I'm actually looking for something, you know, $100. And the rod itself is more about the size of the fly. The size of the fly, what type of fish am I fishing for? You know, nymphs for trout, you know, they're really small. But you got some of these streamers for bass. I mean, if you ever get into muskie, that's a whole another animal up there, up the food chain. An all-around rod, good rod for bass fishing and carp, I'd say, is 8-weight, fast action. The actions are basically a slower action is going to bend more at the butt. The faster action is going to bend more at the tip. You know, it's that's for another video right there. But now I got my target fish. I know what type of money I'm looking for, and now I'm going to search. Obviously online, picked up a rod, $82. It's a Fenwick. Picked it up on Amazon of all places. I know Amazon, right? Who would have funked that one? Now, when I say online, I don't want to say specifically buy your rod online. If you're more experienced, you want to take the rod, put it in your hand, get a reel set up there, even put some line on it. You know, because you're going to be out there all like, you know, 4+ hours maybe for these fish. And when I say when you're going for the expensive rods, it's because you're experienced, and it's actually 90% of the time I'm going to be fishing for this particular fish. If I'm going to be going out on a trip for bass or something, then, you know, if you got the money, rock on. But if you're like me, you know, I'm not going to spend a couple $100 on a one-time trip. Here's the Fenwick case. As you can see, it has the rod holder there. I'm not too crazy about this. Here's my other rod. This is my mountain rod. This is one I travel with pretty much. Kind of nervous sometimes going on the airlines because, you know, they always say sometimes no club-like objects allowed. Well, if this ain't a club-like object, I really don't know what else is. But I had no issues. When you go in the airline restrictions, it's no club-like objects. Take that for what you will. The number one thing you got to ask yourself is, what is my target fish? Now, as far as your conditions, where I'm casting at, if it's a mountain, stream, lakes, rivers, ocean, that's going to tell you pretty much your action. You know, smaller rivers, I'll go with a slower action. The bigger rivers, lakes, and stuff like that, I'm going to go with the fast action. The weight of the rod is actually going to determine what size fly you can throw at this thing. So the bigger fish are obviously going to eat bigger things. Mountain trout, you got little nymphs or something, midges. Bass, you know, frog, you know, I mean, those things are a little bigger, so you got to really load up on that. Carp, you know, night crawler or something. I have no idea. Usually we use dough ball, and I loved cooking that. I loved cooking dough ball whenever I was a kid. I mean, the whole thing smelled, I just like eat it from the pan or something. Another thing you gotta look at is the cost too. What am I gonna pay for this thing? But if I'm gonna be kind of piddling around with this stuff, I'm not gonna go on crazy. So for trout, like a good all-around rod that I would go for is a 5-weight, 8 to 9 foot long for the 5-weight trout rod. You can catch bass with a 5-weight trout rod, no issues at all. There's no way on God's green earth I'm gonna be trying to land a carp with this. As far as the trout, again, smaller stream, I'd go with a slower action. Bass, it's going to be on the lake, so I'm going with a faster action. That way I can get the cast out there a little bit better. As far as the action, the slower action is going to bend more down this end, and the faster action is going to bend more at the tip. So if you enjoyed that video, hit the like button, share this video, comment down below, follow me on Instagram. Hopefully by next week I'll have the reel and everything set up, and maybe we'll be on the river.